The urinary system. Do not urinate here. All right. I think it's great the picture of the woman standing up peeing. I mean, if I had ever seen women peeing, I'm pretty sure I would not have seen them standing straight up and trying to pee, because then it would evolve into like it going down your leg and lots of swearing and stuff. Seems like if I had ever seen women, they would be squatting. Anyway, don't do it here. So, urinary system. Ask most people what's the urinary system for? And they say, well, it makes pee. Yeah, okay, right. But why? Why does it make pee? It does something really important, and pee is just what gets made as a result of doing that really important thing. So, let's look at kind of an overview here. Functions, we'll talk some about those. This is the preview slide again. This is what the rest of the slides in the PowerPoint are going to be covering. These are the main topics. So, functions of the urinary system. What does it do? Yeah, sure. Anatomy of the kidney, you have to know the basic kidney. That's where all the stuff happens. Urine formation. This is the big topic this time. In this set of PowerPoints on the urinary system, here is the main topic. So, urine formation takes 3 steps: glomerular filtration, tubular reabsorption, tubular secretion. I'll come back to this again, but let's just do it quickly right now. The kidney does an interesting thing in order to filter your blood, which is what it's trying to do. It first takes everything it can out of your blood, except the 2 really big things that we've talked about before that basically never come out of the blood: red blood cells and proteins. Well, and white blood cells as well. All formed elements, the blood cells and the proteins, they're way too big to get out. But the kidney takes everything out. That's called glomerular filtration. That means both the good stuff and the bad stuff. So the stuff we want to get rid of, like urea, creatinine, yeah, it takes that out, but it also takes out the good stuff that we want. It takes out amino acids and glucose and vitamins and minerals. So what does it have to do? It has to put them back. That's what tubular reabsorption is. That's putting them back. The blood is pulling those back in. And then final step is to say, well, actually, now that we see what we've got, let's secrete a few more things. All right. So those are the 3 steps. We'll see those coming up in detail. So that's the big topic this time. Urine storage and elimination. Yeah, where do you store it? How often do you eliminate it? And then the renin-angiotensin aldosterone system. I warned you that this would be on exam 1, exam 3, exam 4, and the final exam. So it was on your last exam, but here we go on exam 3. Here it comes back again. Let's look at those pictures. A pretty good view of some stuff. Bottom left, that's a nephron. Nephron is the working machine of your kidney. You've got about 1 million of them per kidney, all right? That's what actually does the work of filtering the blood. You can just got blood vessels, then it's got these weird tubes. We'll talk about those. Middle bottom, that's your adrenal gland. Sits on top of your kidney. You can see the cortex and the medulla. Bottom right is the urinary bladder. And then up above you see the overview. Let's take a look at that overview. So, 2 kidneys, all right. Same reason that, an F-15 has two engines, and one fails, the other one will get you home. Not like the F-16s, the lawn darts. So, 2 kidneys. 2 adrenal glands, because the adrenal gland sits on top of the kidney, so each one has one. 2 ureters. The ureter is the tube that's going to take urine from the kidney to the urinary bladder. So, since you have 2 kidneys, you have 2 ureters. 1 urinary bladder to collect urine from both kidneys, and then just 1 urethra that takes urine from the urinary bladder to the outside world. It'd be kind of cool if, like, you had 2 ureters, you also had 2 urethras. You could, shoot people in both directions at the same time. That'd be awesome. Interesting view here, retroperitoneal. The kidney is retroperitoneal, along with the pancreas and parts of the large intestine and the duodenum as well. So, notice in that picture you can see that kind of sky blue line separating off the spleen and the intestine and the stomach, and then back behind that line you can see pancreas and then also the kidney. What does the kidney do for you? Well, lots of things. Filters your blood. That's really the big job. It filters your blood and takes all the waste products out. And this goes back to the first day of class. I gave you that sheet about essential knowledge for Bio 202. What are the main waste products in the blood? You already took a test on this. The 2 big ones that the kidney is going to try to get out are urea and creatinine. All right, and you know all about those. returns useful substances to the blood. Like I said before, it actually takes everything out at first and then puts the good stuff back in. And it eliminates waste. These are waste products that cannot build up in your body. So remember, the respiratory system, we had a waste product there, CO2, that can't build up in your body. It's the respiratory system job to get rid of that. It's the kidney's job to get rid of the urea and the creatinine, plus some other things. It regulates osmolarity, body fluids, blood volume, and blood pressure. So think about it. Because the kidney is moving stuff back and forth between the blood and what we call the filtrate, it's what's eventually going to become urine. But during the time the kidney is moving back and forth, moving stuff back and forth, we just call it the filtrate. So because it's changing the solutes, it's changing the osmotic pressure of your body fluids. Notice the kidney does that. And then the blood volume. The kidney is going to decide how much of the plasma from your blood it's going to put into the urine. In other words, it's controlling your water balance. If you don't have enough water, it will retain water and not put it into your urine. If you have way too much fluid, then it starts dumping it into your urine. So it controls your blood volume. And remember, blood volume, stroke volume, one of the three big factors, the two big factors in cardiac output, the three big factors in blood pressure. So look at how the kidney controls the blood pressure and the blood volume and the osmotic pressure of the blood. That's why really you always think of cardiovascular and renal systems going together. Urinary system, renal, cardiovascular, they're very, very intimately tied together. That's why people that have chronic hypertension end up blowing out their kidneys. The kidneys and the blood pressure and the osmotic pressure all go together with the cardiovascular system. Acid-base balance, because the kidney can move bicarbonates and hydrogens back and forth between the blood and the filtrate, it precisely controls your acid-base balance. So remember, we just saw how the respiratory system did that. As it turns out, the respiratory system is much faster at changing acid-base than the kidney, but it's not nearly powerful. The kidney is the incredibly powerful way to control acid-base. The respiratory will try to do some of it, but it's not as powerful as the kidney. The kidney, however, takes longer. We'll talk more about that later, about the contrast between the two systems. One is more powerful, the other is less powerful, but one is faster and the other one is slower. Secretes. So the kidney secretes renin and erythropoietin. Renin, renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system. This is to raise blood pressure. And erythropoietin, you saw that before, EPO. That's what causes the hemocytoblast to want to turn into RBCs as opposed to white blood cells or platelets. So erythropoietin was the hormone that the endurance athletes took. They cheated with it. Lance Armstrong plus and all the other cyclists, Tour de France, plus a bunch of marathon runners. Lots of people cheated with it. Detoxifies free radicals and drugs. So yeah, the kidney pulls out things in your blood that are not supposed to be there. So, like you drink coffee, and so you get caffeine. And as caffeine passes through the kidney says, what the fuck? What's this stuff? This isn't supposed to be here. And so it dumps it out, And same thing, alcohol. Kidney finds a molecule of alcohol. Alcohol is not normally supposed to be in your blood. Really what the kidney does is it takes everything out, and then it only puts certain things back. And if you're not one of the certain things that gets put back, then you simply get left out. That's what happens to both caffeine and alcohol. So yeah, the kidney sees alcohol, it says, what's this doing here? He's probably calling his girlfriend at 3 a.m. Let's get this out of here. And gluconeogenesis, remember, we talked about this before, this is making new glucose. This is making glucose not from carbs. If you ever say that, I'll hunt you down and kill you. It's making glucose from amino acids and from fats, from non-carbs, deamination, and then all that stuff. Nitrogenous wastes. These are the main wastes that the kidney gets out. Why do we call them nitrogenous? Duh. How many months have 28 days? Yeah, all of them. Nitrogenous wastes are wastes that have nitrogen. How far can you run into the woods? Halfway, because then you're running out again, So these are all waste products that have nitrogen. Upper right-hand corner, there you go. They're the biggies. Those are the main ones. So urea. We've talked about urea before. When you deaminate, when you break down proteins into their individual amino acids, if you're then going to metabolize amino acids, you have to deaminate them, take off the NH2. Remember, nitrogen wants to grab three things. What's the easiest thing to find nearby? Another hydrogen, so it turns it into NH3, which is ammonia. Ammonia is very toxic. You can't let it build up in your body. So the liver converts it to urea. That was the urea cycle or the ornithine cycle. We saw that in metabolism. So the liver is doing you a favor, taking that toxic ammonia, converting it into urea, which then can easily travel in the blood. And then when it gets to the kidney takes it out. In fact, remember that the kidney takes everything out. It's just that the kidney has no instructions to put urea back in. The kidney basically has got a set of work instructions. It says, put glucose back in, put amino acids back in, put vitamins. And if it's not on the list, then the kidney doesn't put it back in. So it simply stays in the filtrate. That's urea. Uric acid is basically similar to urea in some ways, but it comes from the catabolism of nucleic acids, DNA and RNA. So it's another nitrogenous waste. It's similar in that sense. It's another nitrogen. Creatinine, remember from the breakdown of creatine phosphate. You make creatine phosphate, and then creatine is the molecule that gets broken down into creatinine. This is an incredibly important indicator of kidney function, by the way. High creatinine levels means that the kidney is not getting it out of the blood. And the kidney is not getting it out of the blood. That's a sign that the kidney might be in trouble. So creatinine levels are a very important diagnostic tool for kidney function. BUN, blood urea nitrogen. This is the standard measure. If you look at somebody's blood work, you'll see their BUN. This is the sum of all the different nitrogenous wastes. So ammonia, urea, uric acid, creatinine. There's some of all of that in your blood. There's not that much ammonia. There's a lot of urea. Not as much uric acid, a lot of creatinine. Renal failure. So what happens here is I mentioned before, you've got like 1 million nephrons per kidney. Well, when you start losing nephrons, that's basically the start of kidney failure. And the percentage of nephrons you've lost is roughly your percentage of kidney failure. So there in the bottom right, you see renal failure, azotemia, 75% or more nephrons are lost. That means you're down to like 25% kidney function. Azotemia, that means your BUN is too high, too many nitrogenous wastes in your blood. Uremia, really high levels of urea, basically a severe form of azotemia. Those are good terms to know. Azotemia, uremia. You'll see that in your clinical practice. So, what does the kidney take out? All right, or leave out, I should say. Separation of waste from body fluids and eliminating them by 4 systems. So let's compare the kidney now to the other systems that are going to take waste products out of your blood and get rid of them. This is a good summary slide for all the different systems that do this. Remember, respiratory gets out CO2. Integumentary system, you get lactic acid, some urea. That's one of the things that makes sweat a little bit stinky. Digestive, you get lots of stuff, water, salts, carbon dioxide, lipids, bile pigments, cholesterol. And urinary, once again, nitrogenous wastes, many metabolic wastes, the nitrogenous ones mostly, toxins, and drugs, basically anything that isn't supposed to be in your blood, the kidney takes out. Hormones as well, so it controls the longevity of hormone function. And then hydrogen, so it's going to control your acid-base balance. Okay? On the bottom left slide, one semester I was teaching, and I clicked on the next slide, and a girl in my class said, can you go back? I said, what? And she said, I wanted to get the name on that book and the author. I said, okay. I'm not sure I would trust everything in this book. Okay, that was just kind of a joke. Anatomy of the kidney. A lot of this is in the kidney anatomy, urinary anatomy PowerPoint. So retroperitoneal, again, between T12 L3, that's not crucial. 160 grams each. It's about the size of a bar of soap. That's probably the way to remember it. I won't ask you 160 grams. Think of it as the size of a bar of regular old soap. That's about the size of your kidney. Shape, lateral surface, convex, medial, concave, right? Shaped like a kidney bean, who would have guessed? Connective tissue coverings, the renal fascia binds it to the abdominal wall, holds the kidney in place so it doesn't just flop around in there. Has an adipose capsule for protection. So there's fat all around it. You get hit sometimes back there. Damn, that hurts. That's illegal in boxing. You can't punch people in the kidneys. When I box, it happens from time to time. It's great. Sometimes after a boxing match, you pee blood because somebody smacked your kidney. You get blood in your urine for a while afterwards. Renal capsule encloses the kidney like cellophane wrap. That's what it's like saran wrap. Wrap it around the kidney. That's what it is, okay? Anatomy of the kidney again. So the renal cortex is the outer 1 centimeter roughly. Remember, two main regions to the kidney, the cortex and the medulla. The medulla consists of the columns plus the pyramids plus the papillae, all right? So look on that slide on the left. You can see that outermost layer is the cortex. Everything else inside of that is the medulla. And if we slice through, in between the renal pyramids are the renal columns. If we cut out a pyramid, we would slice through the renal columns on both sides. We'd end up with a piece of pumpkin pie, and that's called a lobe of the kidney. And there you go. That's what it looks like right there. That is a lobe of the kidney. Now, I want to point out, they keep doing this. That there's trying to show, everything that's in the kidney, but don't think that that's the correct size. That nephron is way, way, way over exaggerated. You've got, roughly 1 million nephrons in your kidney. They're microscopic. They're way smaller than that. Okay, which statement is false? Kidney is retroperitoneal. The kidney helps regulate acid-base balance. Kidney is about the size of a bar of soap. Creatinine results from the breakdown of creatine. The kidney converts ammonia to urea. Pause the video, figure out the answer, then come back and take another look. That's the liver that converts ammonia to urea. The kidney takes urea out of the blood, but it's the liver that converts the ammonia into urea, which then can travel safely in the blood. And this is like my favorite place at the Grand Canyon. Why do I keep putting in Grand Canyon photos? Because narrating these slides to myself is an incredibly boring thing to do. So I reward myself at the end of each one by having a slide of where I'd rather be. You can see the Colorado River right there in the middle, just barely. On a sunny day, this is an overcast day, it's like a big mirror, shines. That's Mount Acaba in the distance in the center, Mount Siniela in the distance on the right. I wish I was here right now.